Hello and welcome to the latest edition of Sportskeeda's Rumor Roundup. My name's Stephanie Chase and I'm going to be bringing you the 10 biggest WWE rumors of the week. So let's get started. For our first rumor of the week, we're looking at the WWE locker room's reaction to Randy Orton's WWE Championship win at Hell in a Cell. According to Fightful Select, there was plenty of confusion over WWE's decision to put the championship on Orton at Hell in a Cell, which is similar to the online fan reaction. Fightful spoke to several wrestlers and many of them were confused at the timing, considering Orton had been so well booked between WrestleMania and SummerSlam. But since then, Orton has lost several times, so the decision to put the belt on him now just didn't really make any sense. But it was added that Orton is a very well-liked figure backstage who's been helping a lot of younger wrestlers recently. But despite the respect that Orton commands backstage, the locker room is still just confused about the timing of the title change decision and feel like they could have put it on him when he had a lot more momentum earlier in the year. Sticking with Randy Orton, we're now going to look at the plans for Randy Orton to take on Edge at WrestleMania 37 next year. Now, the last time we saw Edge was at Backlash when he clashed with Orton in the greatest wrestling match ever, where he unfortunately tore his tricep. But the feeling is he will be ready to return in time for WrestleMania 37. Now, Edge and Randy Orton have so far faced each other on 2 occasions this year, with each one getting a win. And it looked as if they were heading for their rubber match at SummerSlam until Edge got injured. Well, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, the rubber match is scheduled to happen at WrestleMania 37 and it's set to have an interesting stipulation. Yes, Dave Meltzer reports that when these two meet at WrestleMania, the stipulation will be an I Quit match. For our third rumor of the week, we're looking at plans for 2 huge matches involving Roman Reigns. Now, there had been reports of WWE possibly lining up Goldberg or John Cena to take on Roman Reigns. But according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, WWE has no plans to hotshot either of these huge matches. Both of these veterans can be used as Reigns' opponents down the line, but WWE has no urgency in booking either of them. Now, the Battle of the Spears is a dream match that is bound to happen sometime, and Goldberg does still have a few months left on his WWE contract. And Goldberg did make a special appearance during the season premiere of SmackDown on Fox, where he seemed to be keeping a very close eye on Reigns' match with Braun Strowman, which could be seen as a big hint towards a possible Reigns-Goldberg showdown. Now, regarding John Cena, it has been reported that WWE would ideally like to have him back for a match at WrestleMania 37. And WWE does reportedly have several potential WrestleMania 37 opponents lined up for Reigns, one of which is John Cena, and another is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. But for now, with no fans in attendance, WWE has no immediate plans to pull the trigger on either Roman Reigns versus John Cena or Bill Goldberg. Sticking with Roman Reigns, we're next looking at rumored plans for his heel faction. At Hell in a Cell, Roman Reigns defeated his cousin Jey Uso, and after the match he stood tall at the top of the ramp with Afa and Sika from the Wild Samoans. And it seems like on SmackDown, WWE is heading in the direction of giving Roman Reigns his own heel stable. As per a report by Paul Davis, the Usos will be following Roman Reigns' orders as he is the head of the family. Sources told Wrestling News that the storyline will see the Usos reluctant to join Reigns at first, but eventually getting on board. For our next rumor of the week, we're looking at why Otis lost his Money in the Bank contract. Otis's run as Mr. Money in the Bank ended in the worst possible way at Hell in a Cell when he lost the briefcase to The Miz. In the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer spoke about the possible reasons why WWE made the decision to take the briefcase off Otis. Meltzer noted that having the briefcase on Otis left the WWE with a big booking dilemma. Meltzer said, "The reality is that the briefcase on Otis is a booking problem. You see, there was no way Otis would be able to cash in the briefcase and win against Roman Reigns as champion." As Meltzer explained, it's okay for a heel to cash in the briefcase and fail, or a very established face like John Cena. But Otis failing, especially with Reigns as champion, does him no good. And while he could beat Reigns and that would make him a star, nothing they're doing right now indicates that direction. Dave did add that a better storyline probably would have been Tucker turning on Otis when he did try and cash in the briefcase against Reigns, but WWE went in a different direction. For our next rumor of the week, we're asking, why isn't NXT part of Survivor Series? Last year's massively successful Survivor Series saw Raw, SmackDown, and NXT battle each other for brand supremacy. But unfortunately, it looks as if NXT won't be part of Survivor Series 2020, which has left everyone asking, why not? Well, according to the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, the reason NXT is not part of this year's Survivor Series is because of possible COVID outbreaks. There have been COVID-19 cases reported at the Performance Center, and Vince McMahon reportedly wants to keep the Raw and SmackDown talent away from the NXT talent as a precaution. And while this explanation seems logical, it also should be noted that NXT wasn't part of the 2020 draft. It was just Raw and SmackDown. And while it had been looking previously like WWE were trying to portray NXT as a brand equal to Raw and SmackDown, now it kinda doesn't feel like it anymore. For our next rumor of the week, we're looking at WWE's big plans for Lars Sullivan. After being absent from WWE programming for over a year, Lars Sullivan made his big WWE return during the 2020 draft. But with the recent controversy surrounding Sullivan, the expectation had been that WWE wouldn't be booking him too strong. But what we've seen on SmackDown so far definitely suggests otherwise. And on the latest edition of Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer suggested that Lars Sullivan is the only guy WWE higher-ups are interested in elevating right now. Dave said, I mean, there's nobody, but if you're talking about one guy WWE are elevating right now, it's Lars Sullivan. That's the guy. It can be observed that on Lars's recent SmackDown appearance, the commentators were calling him more the Freak than using his actual name. Well, it's also been reported by Dave Meltzer that this could lead to a possible name change for Lars in the near future. Dave said it's very clear that they're trying to put him over as the Freak. Cole said it over and over while only saying Sullivan a few times. It's what they do when the plan is to transition the name. For our next rumor of the week, we're asking, why is Nia Jax attacking Lana every week? Over the last several weeks, Lana has been put through the Raw announce table by Nia Jax 6 times. And at first, WWE fans thought that Lana was being buried by the company. Well, reportedly, Lana is not being buried, but she's not getting the traditional babyface push either. Dave Meltzer has noted that WWE's plan is to keep having Lana get put through the announce table over and over and over until the fans eventually see her as a big babyface. While the creative thinking behind this is certainly questionable, it is also very interesting. Creative team members, including Bruce Pritchard, think that this angle will help make Lana popular among WWE fans. And while the creative thinking behind the angle is certainly questionable, it has no doubt attracted the attention of the WWE universe. For our next rumor of the week, we're looking at the reason behind Riddle's name change. WWE confirmed that Matt Riddle is no more. Instead, he is just Riddle. It has been reported that the decision to change Riddle's name was made last Thursday by Vince McMahon. Sean Ross Sapp reported that Vince McMahon was fired up over Riddle's match with Sheamus. The two superstars received praise from WWE producers when they went backstage, and then Vince made the decision to change Riddle's name. McMahon made the decision to change the name to Riddle and pitch a more serious in-ring presentation. And Sapp added that Riddle was supportive of the idea. And for our final rumor of the week, we're looking at the role that Daniel Bryan played in the splitting up of the New Day. In a recent interview on the Gorilla Position podcast, Big E spoke about the role Daniel Bryan played in the New Day splitting up. Big E has explained how it was Daniel Bryan's idea to try and push him as a single star. Big E said the idea for the solo run was from him, like Bryan is the reason. He's the one who said, hey, this is what we should do with Big E. So he's behind that, and for that I'm really grateful. But it feels like an environment where I do have a voice. So there you have it. Anyone that was sad about the New Day breaking up, you can blame Daniel Bryan. And that's all for this week. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to Sportskeeda's YouTube channel, follow them on Twitter, and you can also follow me at Stephanie M. Chase.